Hey guys, Deacon Kane here with a video I am very happy to give you a reaction to. Today, 10 hours ago, maybe a little more than that, the trailer to Star Trek Picard Season 3 was released at New York Comic Con, and I'm very excited about it. I've loved each season of Star Trek Picard. Now, the fans may not agree with me, or the fans, uh, because it's not the Star Trek they remember, but it is a nice revisit to a captain so many of us grew up knowing or grew up being introduced to Star Trek by this crew. Um, it was the crew that made us actually pay attention to the movies and then pay attention to the original series. It is the show that showed that the original series crew could retire themselves and pass the baton to this new group. And phenomenal cast, phenomenal episodes. It was the beginning of Star Trek becoming a true franchise, a generational franchise. There are kids who are being introduced to Star Trek now, whose parents were introduced to Star Trek in the 80s and early 90s and throughout the 90s, who are the kids and grandkids of Star Trek fans from the original series. And so to have this show, we saw their story end in Star Trek Nemesis, so we thought. To have this crew return to us in season 3 is pure and utter excitement. And so, with all of that said, the trailer for season 3 released. We were already told, spoiler alert for those people who haven't heard anything about Star Trek Picard season 3 or have even picked up the show. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We already know from the teaser trailer and announcements that the crew of the USS Enterprise D will be in full form this season. They will return. We got, of course, the title character, Jean-Luc Picard, who is now a reactivated admiral. We have the crew of La Serena. We have Seven, we have Raffi, who are returning from that crew. Seven is now a Starfleet officer on a Neo Constitution class Titan A. The USS Titan, the original one, was a Luna class that was captained by William T. Riker, the first officer of Jean-Luc Picard. So, of course, Riker is there. If Riker is there, that means we get Troy again. We first saw them in season 1. We have Worf, Geordi, Dr. Crusher, and it said that Brent Spiner will be returning to the show. Now, he's already been in season 1 and 2 playing different iterations of or different versions or different people from the Soong family, the family that created the androids lore and data and before. We know at the end of Star Trek Nemesis, we saw the end of Data. He sacrificed his life to save Jean-Luc Picard from death. He destroyed the Thalaron generator on board Shenzhen's ship. And we saw the final death of Data in Star Trek Picard Season 1. So I'm interested to find out who he plays. I've been feeling like the entire time I've watched this show that we're going to get some type of return of Data. So I'm excited to see if he comes back. Let's take a look at the trailer for season 3. Not just a teaser. These are the parts that are going to actually be part of the show in episodes and tell the final chapter. It's what they're calling it, the final chapter of Jean-Luc Picard. Oh, I'm excited. Let's take a look. Come on, let's take a look.
Thank you.
Admiral.
Oh, that's serious.
I received a distress call from Beverly Crusher.
Oh,
We are being hunted.
Raffy.
Who is it out there?
I don't know.
A Neo-Constitution class ship. There it is.
We must run.
From what?
7.
How very
Amanda Plummer.
precise with your timing, Jean-Luc Picard.
Oh, she looks scared.
Fire!
You should know that I now prefer pacifism to combat. Or I'm gonna die.
He's a pacifist.
They are blind to something big.
It could be what it always was, attempts on your life.
It's Crusher.
Wolf and Riku broke them into this team.
Jordy.
I was once like her, irrational, violent.
Oh.
The forge! Gun it! Stay inside!
Aye, sir.
There's a darkness on this ship. All-consuming darkness.
Troy.
I'll peck and I'll jab. Everything that
A
makes
Starfleet cap.
you, you.
Oh.
We will scorch the earth under which he stands, and the night will brighten with the ashes of the Federation.
That.
But first, we will have vengeance.
Fire everything we've got!
I mean, my mouth was watering. Moriarty!
Greetings. Old friend.
It's Moriarty! Oh. February 16th. I have to wait until February. Oh. Yellow eyes. It's lore. It's old lore. It's old lore. It is old lore. Man, we got everything packed into this 3rd season, and I don't know what to do. I gotta wait until February. That's they said February 16th. I gotta wait 2 days. I gotta wait until after Valentine's Day. Okay? Now I want you to think about this, because this is how this works. Hopefully, my Star Trek fans out there getting all loved up. So think about it. You're getting all loved up by your significant other, and then 2 days later, you get this. You get this first episode of this new season of Picard. And if you've been following the show, we all know season 2 was a lot better than season 1. The ships are actually different in season 2. They actually took time to give it some care and not kit bash stuff together or just CGI a bunch of stuff in one place. We're getting different style ships. We're getting a brand new Constitution class Titan. I mean, we're actually seeing this Neo-Constitution class. We know if you watch Discovery, that the Constitution class still exists into the 32nd century. So we're getting a return of an iconic style of starship. And for my Star Trek Online fans, we get our first canon reference to the Odyssey class, Enterprise F, which means if they're sticking to canon, it's not exactly the same ship. There have been some changes. However, these are designs, I believe, by Doug Drexler, who was the designer for Star Trek all the way up until I believe it was Nemesis. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But he did the design for the Enterprise, for the NX-01 Enterprise, the ships on that show, which were beautiful ships. He did some amazing designs last season in Picard. He is the designer god of starships for Star Trek, and I believe he is back this season because last season was so good. He was the person who designed the ships for Star Trek Strange New Worlds. We're getting some of our cool Trek legacy people returning to us as the franchise revitalizes itself. And so we're getting some of those writers back. We are getting some of our legacy directors of some of the best Star Trek episodes and movies. We're getting LeVar Burton, who's been in charge of directing stuff and producing stuff for them. We have Jonathan Frakes coming back, being in the director's seat as he's been since season 1 of Picard, and for some of the other shows. He's returning to that this season. Last season, we got Leah Thompson, Lorraine McFly from Back to the Future, and Caroline, the titular character from Caroline in the City, along with tons of other roles she's played. She stepped into the director's seat last season, so hopefully she's returning this season. The show, for me, has been phenomenal. It's been a nice, neat revisit of characters that we love. They created new characters that we fell in love with. We got Raffi and Seven, who are both returning this season. I am excited. But the two most exciting parts of this, three most exciting parts of this, we get an appearance by the daughter of Geordi LaForge on the bridge of what I believe is the Titan A. That's one thing. That's really awesome. That's going to be really cool to continue to explore because now we have legacies being built that aren't just Picard and Kirk. We're seeing other people go through the ranks and them have kids, and we get to see their careers after the fact. So that means as the show continues, and we know that Discovery is now in the 32nd century, we may see those people, not those people, but their families reappear. And that's exciting. The second thing that I'm really excited about, we are finally finding out what happened to Lore. The last time we saw Lore, he had teamed with the group of Borg who that were a part of Hughes' cooperative that branched off from the Borg, and they were on their own. We're returning to them, we are returning. We saw Hugh season 1. We're getting Lore, and not just Lore looking the exact same way as he did before, which is why I'm excited about this. We're seeing Lore in almost human makeup with gray hair or with white hair, showing that he's using his aging program. The other part of this, if we're getting Lore back, that means, at least I feel this way, and we're seeing Lore as an older lore, we may be getting Data back. And if we're getting Data back, it's going to be a showdown between the brothers. Or maybe not. Maybe Data will bring lore around to his side of things. Or maybe we don't get Data and we get a changed lore. I don't know, but it's exciting to speculate on. Amanda Plummer popping up this season as well. I'm wondering who she is. I'm wondering that she obviously has some type of connection to Picard. The ships very much look a lot. The ship that we're seeing looks a lot like the Narada, or it has kind of the same meanness that the Narada had in it. Those spikes and curves and all that stuff. So I'm wondering if she's in some way connected to that group of Romulans that went into the alternate universe and wreaked havoc for the alternate Kirk and his crew in the 2009 Star Trek Abrams verse. But the other thing that I'm very excited about, and I think it was the thing that made me scream during this whole thing, is we are getting the return of Professor Moriarty. If you don't remember, Professor Moriarty was a holodeck program that was created at the request of Dr. Pulaski because she wanted the program to create a villain that Data could not defeat. And Data was being Sherlock Holmes in the holodeck. He loved the Holmes stories. The stories were really easy because he would basically pretend to be Holmes and then use his intelligence to solve everything. And this program, or the computer, created Ascension holodeck program that became a challenge for Data. But not only that, the program was self-aware as Ascension, but same thing. But the program realized that it was in a holodeck program and it wanted out. Picard promised that they would work on a way to do this. A few years later, Reginald Barclay, or Broccoli, as they meanly called him. But Reg found out, or found the program by mistake, and Moriarty was put into a simulated version of basically the universe to explore and do different things. There was always speculation if his program survived the destruction of the Enterprise D, and we're finally getting the answer that he did. And I almost feel like we are about to see a version of the Wrath of Khan, but in Picard's own way. I feel like Moriarty is going to be Picard's Khan. I don't know how much, because it was like a slight reveal at the end, but it's going to be a good season. And I don't think anybody cannot laugh at the fact that Worf, old cat daddy Worf, I mean, the gray hair, the goatee, I mean, the leather Star Trek uniform, or the leather Starfleet uniform, he is now a pacifist, but he is still kicking butt. So this season is going to be that season. We've already heard rumors about other captains or other Star Trek characters. Kind of, there's been petitions for Janeway to get a spinoff to tell her story after Voyager. We're getting a little bit of that in Star Trek. Star Trek. The name is blanking on me right now. We got Star Trek Prodigy, and we're getting a little bit of that with the holographic Janeway training this crew, and we found out that this ship, the Protostar, was actually captained by Chakotay. So we have a lot to find out there, but we've gotten our glimpses of future Admiral Janeway. And so that's one of the shows that's being petitioned for. We got our glimpse of Deep Space Nine this season in Lower Decks, which means, and it's been hinted at throughout all seasons of Picard, and parts of Discovery, and parts of some of the other shows, that Deep Space Nine is still a big thing, and the return of Cisco is on the horizon. There's been a big revival and reevaluation of Enterprise, and so that's a show that may be returning. And I believe the most current rumor is that there's a brand new push to do a Sulu show. I don't know if it's going to go through a young Sulu, or if we're going to get a chance to see Sulu post Enterprise A, or post Excelsior being the captain. But all of this is exciting for Star Trek fans, especially after a decade of no Star Trek on television. We got Star Trek Online, the video game, which is updated ever since its release in 2009. We've had the Star Trek Abramsverse, which is a loving reboot to a franchise that most of us, it's touched our lives in some way. It was the original crew, and I think they did an amazing job. Into Darkness, say what you want about it. I think all three movies are they have their okay part. They have their good parts. I'm not gonna say okay, because Beyond was pretty damn good. I kind of held myself back from Beyond too long, but once I got into it, I loved it. But we are getting our Star Trek back. And after Strange New Worlds and seeing that original series formula updated in a way that pleased fans and new fans, and it just made people happy across the board. There were no big story arcs. There was nothing that felt like a show from 2010 or from the year 2000, where we get all these arcs and big bads and all that stuff. This felt like true Star Trek. And now, with that show being successful, hopefully the other ones will follow suit. All of the new ones have their great parts. They also have had parts to work on, and I think they are now finding their stride. We are a few years into the revival of Star Trek, the return of Star Trek to television, and I think they are now getting things right. So this season 3, Picard, I'm excited. 2 days after Valentine's Day, I'm going to get all candid up and loved up, and then I'm going to turn on some Star Trek, and it's just going to be like, oh, you're giving my Star Trek, I'm being silly. But it's going to be a great year. Next year is going to be awesome. So that's all the time I have. It has been fun. It has been exciting. And once again, if you like what you see here, you have another show you want me to react to or watch, send it to me, deaconkane@gmail.com. You can also send me a message at Deacon Kane, all one word, Kane, Kaine, on Instagram, TikTok, send me a message. I'll be glad to get your suggestion if I can. Put it in the video and we'll make it work. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you soon. Peace.